Have you ever spent hours explaining something you know is valuable, only to watch someone choosing something cheaper option or simpler? It's frustrating because it feels like people rejecting your quality of work. But I don't think is that what's happening. Sometimes the most painful part isn't the rejection. It's realizing people never actually understood what they're looking at. Hi, I'm Olia. I'm a writer, strategist, and for years I've worked with founders and luxury brands and growing businesses trying to understand why genuinely valuable work often struggles to receive the recognition it deserves. Again and again, I found myself asking the same question. If the work is genuinely good, why isn't that enough? The answer I discovered that very little to do with the talent alone. It was something to do with how people interpreted what they are seeing in front of they ever experienced it. And I think that's where many businesses get stuck. We like to believe that value speaks for itself. That if the product is exceptional, if the service is transformative, or if the thinking is genuinely original, people will eventually recognize it. It's an appealing belief because it feels fair. The best work should naturally rise to the top. But look around almost any industry and you'll find that is rarely how it works. Every day, remarkable businesses remain overlooked while ordinary ones attract attention, trust, and demand. Not necessarily because they're better, but because they're easier to understand. The mistake is assuming that value is something people discover. I don't think it is. I think value is something people construct. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine a consultant who completely changed the direction of the business in a single strategic session. The real value isn't the 90 minutes they spent together. It's the months of confusion, wasted effort, and expensive mistakes that never happened because someone finally identified the real problem. But if that consultant describes the offer as a 90-minute strategic session, what does the client actually see? A meeting? A conversation? A slot in a calendar? The most valuable part of the work, the judgment, experience, pattern recognition, and years of expertise never becomes visible. Now imagine a founder who has built an extraordinary product. They know every technical detail, every innovation, every engineering decision that makes it different. So their website explains all of it, specifications, features, technology. But most customers aren't trying to evaluate engineering. They are asking a much simpler question: why should I care? The founder has communicated information. They haven't communicated meaning. Or think about creative whose work looks effortless. Client often says you have an eye for it. What they don't see are the thousands of tiny decisions hidden beneath the surface. For years spent developing taste, knowing what to remove instead of what to add, understanding proportions, hierarchy, balance, and restraint. The work looks simple precisely because it isn't. But if none of that thinking becomes visible, the audience assumes the results was easy. And what looks easy rarely commands extraordinary value. This is why I don't think value is something we create once. I think it's something that has to travel. It has to move from your mind into someone else's understanding. And along that journey, it needs help. It needs language, it needs context, it needs evidence, it needs comparison, it needs credibility. Because people don't buy value directly, they buy what they believe that value means. That's a very different process. It's why testimonials matter, it's why reputation matters, it's why the category people place you in matters. It's why two businesses can offer almost identical results, yet one becomes the obvious choice, another one constantly has to justify the price. Value is never experienced in isolation, it's always experienced through interpretation. And once you see that, it changes the question you ask. Instead of asking, how do I create more value? You begin asking, where is my existing value becoming visible? Because the answer often isn't to work harder, it's to help people to see what was already there. I found that this changes the conversation completely. Instead of endlessly trying to prove ourselves, we begin looking at the signals surrounding our work, the language we use, the examples we choose, the stories we tell, the evidence we provide, the assumptions we are asking people to make. Value doesn't speak for itself. People speak for it. Your positioning speaks for it. Your reputation speaks for it. Your clients speak for it. The experience surrounding your work speaks for it. And when those signals align, people don't just understand what you do, they understand why it matters. That's the difference between having something valuable and having something people recognize as valuable.